Hello, everyone. Welcome to our July NJBIA Business Growth Roundtable. And let me hand the mic to our colleague, Anthony Arena, who's going to tell us a little bit about what's going on at the amazing NJBIA organization.
Thank you, Donna, for that intro. And welcome, everyone, to New Jersey Business Industries Association's Business Growth Roundtable. I hope you all enjoyed the long 4th of July weekend. Just wanted to, make sure you guys are looking forward to this great event with both Jordan and Cal. We at NJB are thrilled to have helped create this initiative led by such a great group of talented women. For those of you who are new to NJBIA, we are the nation's largest business association, represent about 25% of all New Jersey employees. We do offer custom development opportunities with our Visibly Through events, our magazine, our podcast, and our television show, along with money-saving discounts for all your business needs, such as payroll, healthcare, training, 401k solution, and 24-hour HR support. Like Donna said, I'm Anthony Arena, one of the executives here at NJBIA. I will put my information in the chat. But before that, I'd like to give you some upcoming events here at NJBIA that are taking place. We have a Nine and Dine taking place on July 23rd at Galloping Hill Park and Golf Course in Kenilworth, New Jersey. I'll put all that information in the chat as well. Be a nice day to get out, golf, have some lunch and some networking. Along with our signature event, Women's Business Leader Forum, which I know Cal and Donna are very familiar with, known as WBLF. And we are going into our 10th year celebration of this event. It's going to be spectacular. So I'll have all the information in the chat for you. And this is taking place in Atlantic City, this September 25th and 26th. Thank you so much. And now I'll turn it over to Rachel.
All right. Thank you, Anthony. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here today. My name is Rachel Durkin. I'm with Paradigm Marketing and Design. We are a web branding, marketing, and sales enablement agency that customizes and working with clients with a complex sale. So if you have a sales team that's going to require a conversation to close the deal, we can help that sales team increase the number of quality meetings they're having and increase their closing rate with quicker conversations by improving your marketing to sales infrastructure and improving the touch process with automation and expert messaging strategies. And I also today want to recognize a new sponsor that we have. We are very excited to have them, Summit Place Financial Advisors. They are an amazing and talented financial advisory firm. I have referred them many times to friends and family, and they are excellent at what they do. So I'm going to read a little bit about them today. Summit Place Financial Advisors offers focused, individualized attention, serving a select group of highly successful people like you who have outgrown mass market institutions. Success often brings complex investment, tax, and estate planning challenges. And Summit Place offers experienced, personalized, and disciplined guidance to help achieve your financial goals and help simplify your wealth opportunistically. They collaborate with trusted professionals to provide a holistic, expert approach to your financial journey. Of course, Summit Place is an SEC registered firm. They do not sell products, earn commissions, or have quotas to meet. They work solely in your best interest with no hidden fees or agenda. And I can vouch for this personally because, as I mentioned, I know many people who work with them and they are genuinely good at what they do. So please check out Summit Place Financial Advisors. We will put their information in the chat. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to the lovely Donna Miller.
Thank you, Rachel and Anthony. Welcome, everyone. I am Donna Miller, Chief Visionary Officer of C3 Workplace and founder of Donna Miller Business Growth Consulting. For just about 30 years, we've been helping companies to accelerate their growth by providing support and advisory services around operations, biz dev, and finance. We allow growing teams and business owners to work smarter by focusing on that which actually and truly drives their business forward. Our clients know that by bringing us in to build systems that are efficient, connected, and executable, either by them or by us, they're laying the foundation to build a company that runs and grows without them involved in every little detail. So if you're interested in building a self-scaling company, reach out to me. I would be happy to have a truly no pressure conversation about how we might help each other. Now, before we jump into our content, a little bit of housekeeping. This is being recorded, so You don't have to take copious notes. You can if you want, but you will get the recording. We want to encourage you to use the chat window to introduce yourself. You know, you are in a room with people who are interested in the same thing that you're interested in. That's a great starting point for a conversation. So I want to encourage you to use that chat window, reach out to people, connect. But please don't use the chat window for questions. With our big group that we tend to have each month, it can get a little bit unwieldy. Cal and Jordan have allowed for time for Q&A at the end. So put your questions in the Q&A section as you think of them. And I know that they also want this to be interactive. So feel free to put your questions in that Q&A, and I will interrupt the presentation with the question if I feel it's appropriate at that time. If not, you know, we'll get to them at the end. And the other two pieces of housekeeping are Rachel and I don't work in August, and we hope that you take time off too. There will be no roundtable in August, but in September, Kelly Lauro, who you'll meet during Q&A from the C3 team, she's our senior account manager. Kelly Lauro is going to moderate a panel, including myself and some other amazing business growth consultants. And we're going to talk about leadership. We're going to talk specifically about helping people to move from workers to managers to leaders. As you're growing your company and your team, that is one of the greatest challenges that I've found. You know, I started out, I was the primary person, and then growing it through that. So we're going to have a great conversation about raising up leaders, because we all know in today's market, talent is super duper hard to find, keep, and grow your company. So I know that Kelly's going to drop the link. Oh, she just did, to register. So register now, grab your seat, and we'll see you in September. Now, with that, let me bring Cal and Jordan to the stage. And let me just introduce Cal, who needs no introduction, because most of you have already been here. And you know, Cal's been with us since day one, which we super duper appreciate. But Cal is the president of Sandler Training in Morristown. Not only does he provide sales training, but he also helps companies to train their leaders and also to focus on customer service. So it's a very multifaceted training. And the best thing I could say about Cal, well, there's many things I could say about Sandler Training, but I am a Sandler President's Club member. Rachel is a President's Club member. Anthony is a President's Club member. And I understand our fabulous new sponsors, Summit Financial, are also Sandler trainees. The truth is, it's one of the best investments I ever made in my business. Actually, I think I've always been a pretty good salesperson, but we can all get better. So if you're looking to improve your sales skills, your leadership skills, or the customer service of your team, talk to Cal. You'll hear a lot from him today. So with that, Cal, let me hand it over to you. I will exit stage left, and we'll come back about 10 minutes before the 1 o'clock hour, and we'll get into Q&A.
Great. Well, and there's a lesson. Don't let Donna Miller introduce you, because it's kind of a heavy lift to keep up to all the things with all the things she says. So we are thrilled to work with people like that and to continue to work with them. So, but I won't talk about me. Donna has done that. I'm thrilled to have Jordan Ledwein here with us. Jordan is actually a colleague of mine who happens to be a second-generation Sandler trainer. And if you grow up in this business, boy, it's all over for you, and you end up doing superstar things. And the kind of niche he's carved out is to be a leader within our Sandler network, global network, as he's been termed the AI sales guy. And he really embraced this. And in addition to being a trainer, he's also worked with a lot of Sandler businesses and non-Sandler clients, I should say, to help them automate, put AI intelligently in their practices. And I won't give any more introduction or give it away. But so welcome, Jordan. And let me open it this way. Maybe you can, because AI is the topic. It's still not well understood. People are still kind of mute about it. There's a lot of confusion. Maybe you can take 2 minutes before we dive in and say a couple words on what are some of the myths and what are some of the truths about AI, and we'll keep it to our sales topic for today.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the introduction, Cal, and thanks for having me on. I'm excited to talk about this topic yet again. Hopefully everyone else is just as excited. I know there's people who are terrified of AI, people who are excited about AI, and then everywhere in between. And I can understand all of those points. But I think there's a couple things when it comes to AI that have either been misunderstood or maybe are a bit complex because it's seen as this very complex topic that no one can really understand. And I really want to try and boil that down today because it can be such a value add for a business in a much easier sense than most people think of it. So, it's not that, silver button that you can just press and it'll do all your work for you, but it's a way that we can use technology as a teammate, is something you'll hear me say again, in order to help us accomplish things more easily, more efficiently, more effectively, so that we can do the things that we really need to do. And when I look at sales and using AI in sales, I don't see AI replacing all the things I do as a salesperson. I see it as enabling me to do more of the things that I'm good at, which are those sales conversations or those face-to-face meetings that are, quite frankly, the reason that I'm here. Whereas there's a lot of things in my sales role that I do that may not be direct selling activities that honestly AI is probably better at anyway. And we'll talk through a few of those things today.
Love that. So I don't love the drudgery part of sales either. And with your help, we've helped figure out how to get me out of that drudgery and do the things we're good at, like talking to people, having real conversations. So why don't you take us through a quick agenda? What do you have in mind?
All right. Can you confirm that you can see my screen? I think after 4 years of Zoom, I've figured out how to share my screen.
You
I
sure?
know you're a little
Good there.
technology challenged. And if you do have some questions along the way and it's appropriate to jump in, we're trainers, right? At the end of the day. So jump in, toss some questions in, make them hard questions. That would be good. So we can keep it interactive.
Yeah, I'll save the hard ones for Cal at the end and we'll go from there. So today we're going to talk about a concept that I call AI-powered selling. I believe that there's a few different ways to use AI, but first you need to understand it, because a lot of companies will come to me and ask, Jordan, this is all really exciting information, but where do I start? And unfortunately, there's not just one answer to that question. Every company is going to have a unique answer when they have to ask themselves that question. So in order to really understand how to use AI, you need to understand what AI is. So we'll start there today. I know that for some people that might be a review, but I was just in a room 2 weeks ago doing an AI training for a leadership group that we run. And there was people in that group that were still trying to figure out, what is ChatGPT? They hadn't really heard of it. So I want to bring everyone up to the same page here, get us all understood on what is AI. Then we'll dive into what I call AI-powered selling, talk about the concept, what it means, where it fits in, how it can be applied in your business. And then we'll walk through some actual AI tools in a sales process. I'll show you tools that I use on a daily basis that I've found, and not to say that they're the tools that you need to use, but to show you the capabilities of AI so that you can understand how it might apply in your world. And, I vet tools a lot, and I'm on calls every week with a new company trying to sell me their latest AI tool. So I try a lot of them. So if you have any questions on specific AI tools, I might have some insights, but I might not, because if you're paying attention, there's like 1,000 new tools a month and it's hard to keep up, even if it's your full-time job. So we'll get started. So what is AI? And I think it's, again, much more simple than many people make it. But when we really think about it, there's AI for a sales process. And that might be technology tools or software that use AI to help sellers improve their process. But when we really boil down AI, all it is it's a machine or a computer or technology that can complete a task typically attributed to a human. So it could be something like decision making, visual perception, translation, different things like that. So the question I love to ask at the very beginning is, has anyone ever heard of Siri before? And typically the answer is yes, because, well, some of us have iPhones, some of us don't. That's okay. But we've all been introduced to AI much earlier than we may have realized. Siri was released in 2011. And so for the last 13 years or more, we've had AI sitting in our pocket. And it might have been a more simplistic version of AI, but at the end of the day, it was still AI, right? Asking about the weather for today, or asking about the score of last night's game or whatever that might be. Just an easier way for us to communicate with technology, get the answers we need quicker than we could before. And of course, since then, we've probably heard of ChatGPT or seen a post about it somewhere, or maybe we use it every day. And for a lot of people, that was their first experience of what this technology could really mean. Because I remember the first time I jumped on ChatGPT a couple of days after it was released, I was just sitting there, sitting there with my jaw on the ground. I was like, this is going to change everything. So when we talk about artificial intelligence for sales, we're not talking about, this mysterious thing that no one really understands. All we're really talking about is technology that we may have already been using. HubSpot, Salesforce, Zoho, Pipedrive, CRMs that are now incorporating AI right into their platform. Or it could be something like Canva for any of the marketers on here, right? So Canva has been a great tool, but now there's little AI features to remove a background or make this a little bit easier. And we're also seeing it added into Google Suites and Microsoft Suites. So I can create a presentation on Google Slides, and instead of having to spend 10 minutes trying to find a stock image that doesn't have a watermark on it, I can just generate it right within Google with Gemini, right? And it's mine. So it's making that process so much easier. So that's what I'm talking about today when I'm talking about artificial intelligence in sales, are these platforms or the software that now incorporates AI to make our lives a little bit easier or a little bit more efficient. And you're going to hear this word a lot, teammate. I want you to think of it as a teammate. There's another concept around AI, and it's called augmented intelligence. And when I say augmented, what I mean by that is artificial intelligence augmenting maybe the gaps that we have in our process. And I'll talk about the specific tools that I use in my process to augment some of my areas of opportunity for improvement, or whatever you want to call it. But when we started this journey, especially at Sandler, I think our first AI webinar was April of last year. So crazy to think, but 12, 14, 15 months ago. And the question that everyone was asking, and the question that people are still asking today is, will AI replace salespeople? Will AI replace marketers? Will AI replace me? And I think that's a serious and genuine concern for some industries. I do. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's really going to replace salespeople. But what I do think is that the salespeople who understand how to use AI will replace the ones who don't. And you can replace salespeople with any other word you want. Business owners, doctors, marketers, whatever it might be. And I always like to use the example of someone in marketing who's creating a blog. All right, let's pretend this one can create 4 blog posts a day, not using AI, but they're pretty good. They've been doing it for a while. They have the right things in them. But let's say this person over here can create 6 or 7 blog posts a day, almost double. And they're not only good, they're just as good, if not better, because they have keywords infused right in based on the keywords that they think or have identified are the most effective. I mean, who are you going to hire? The one that can do double the output and the quality is better? So I think it's a genuine question that a lot of us have been asking. And I think that's why it's great to see so many people here today ready to learn how to understand AI so that they can make sure that they are ready for the future of sales or the future of whatever industry you may be in.
Yeah, Jordan, I love how you call it as your digital teammate, and those who use it will replace those who don't. I have a great client. They happen to be a technology client, pretty good size. They've got a good sales team, and they've been able, using a lot of AI tools, along with Sandler training about getting pain and understanding problems. And they've been able to really link their marketing messaging to their sales messaging to get some pain. And this poor young woman who's doing all the marketing stuff, she's doing 3 times what she did 9 months ago, doing just exactly what you talked about. And she's completely aligned with the sales team now, which is extraordinary. I know Rachel can probably relate to that.
I'm hearing the same thing. And, I'll show you a tool later on that I predict, I'm pretty confident about this prediction. I think it saved me over 100 hours last year. I just did a training with another company that I was on with their engineering team and teaching their engineering team how to use AI. They figured out how to use AI within a week of going through this training to take a task that took them an hour and a half or 2 hours once a week down to 15 minutes, right? So just think about how many times you can find those opportunities within your business. And that's what I want to help you identify today. So with that, we'll talk about, okay, AI powered selling. What does that mean? How do we really use it? Because I've gone to so many AI presentations where I leave more confused than when I got there. And I don't want to do that to you today. So I want to help you understand how it fits in, and we can figure out where it could fit into your business. So one of my favorite statistics, 9 out of 10 or 88% of salespeople say that personal connections or building personal connections are the most important part of their job. This is where I'd ask if you agree, raise your hand. And if I could see you, I'd hopefully see all hands raised, or at least 9 out of 10. And
Put one in the chat if you agree with that. Put a one in the chat.
Even better. Yeah. And I think that that's what a lot of us as salespeople enjoy doing. We enjoy the personal aspect. We enjoy being face to face. We enjoy meeting those new customers and making those new relationships. But despite this fact, based on 3, 4, 5 different studies I've seen personally, and I'm sure there's more out there, only a third of the average sales rep's time is spent selling or spent building these relationships. The question is, what's going on here? It's the most important thing that we do, but we only spend a third of our time doing it. And some people might say, well, salespeople are just out golfing, or they're lazy, or they're not doing the right stuff. And I don't think that's the case. And I'll help you understand why here. So this actual graphic is from a Salesforce study they did, I believe 2022 State of Sales Report is what it's called. And what they did is they broke down selling versus non-selling time on a weekly basis for the average sales rep. And when they talk about selling, they're talking about in-person meetings, virtual meetings, or prospecting to set those meetings, right? So things that all of us should be a bit familiar with. But I have a feeling that a lot of us are very familiar with the non-selling items as well, right? It's things like prioritizing your leads and opportunities. It's updating your CRM. It's preparation in planning. It's even internal meetings or trainings or different things like that that are taking up sometimes more than 2/3 of the time that we have available. So the question is, what do we do about this? How do we overcome this? Because there's this term called administrative creep. And what that term is saying essentially is, as sales gets more complex, as more documentation is needed, as more buyers enter the buying journey, or more decision makers are involved in the process, the amount of work and time it takes to get that one sale is now more than it ever has been before. And so what can we do to augment or supplement the time that we may not have anymore to free us up? And it's gotten so bad, this statistic scares me, but 3 out of 4 sellers say that they can't complete all the tasks assigned to them while also maintaining high quality. And Cal, have you seen in your reps that you train their lives changing or maybe getting a bit more complex recently?
Yeah, the buyer journey, you hit the nail on the head, Jordan. I mean, we see it all the time. And as you're familiar, we call it pay time versus no pay time.
Yep.
What are the activities that I need to spend my time on in order to build the relationships, maintain them, to expand them? But there are more people involved. The decision-making process is more complex. And in our prospects and our customers, they're using AI to get smarter and to move faster too. And what I find a little comical is they often come to us or to our clients thinking they know all of the things that they need to know about buying their stuff, buying their software, buying their financial services. So we have to spend even more time on the selling side to ask better questions, because they're actually coming, they think they're coming more informed, but they're inappropriately informed in a lot of cases. And it's just an enormous amount of time. You know, God forbid somebody asks you to put your data in the CRM and waste a day doing that, right? And I know you're going to talk about that more.
I will. So I like to talk about the different stages of sales tech maturity, because in order to understand how to get to that next stage, you kind of need to understand where you are today. And Gartner put together a great report. I believe it was last year, but my years are going way too fast right now, so it could have been 2 years. But this report broke down the different ways that sales companies, or just companies in general, are approaching AI and advancing with AI. And they put together 4 stages, and it starts with stage 1, but really it starts with stage 0. It starts with everything being manual, everything being done in Excel, everything being done the old-fashioned way, right? I can say that, but it's got to start somewhere. And a lot of companies, it's not their fault that they're still in stage 0 because simply they've grown too fast for their systems or software to keep up with them. And so it's about figuring out where are we today and how do we get to that next stage or the stage after and continue our journey, into what may be the future of selling. So when it comes to stage 1, once we get out of fully manual sales, and if you can, actually, I think this would be interesting to see. If you can put in chat what stage you think you're in after I get through all 3 or 4, I'd be really curious to hear. But it starts with simple automation. It starts with AI that just assists simple activities. And typically this is when the benefits really depend on the seller. So I have sales reps come to me and say, hey, our company's still trying to figure out what they're doing with AI. I really want to start using it. How do I help my company get to the next stage? And I say, you got to start somewhere. You got to try out tools in your process and bring them to your manager or bring them to the other people on your team and saying, hey, this is what I'm doing to help me create a 30-second commercial or an elevator pitch for those of you who aren't familiar with Sandler, or help me create 5 or 10 questions that I should ask this type of person before this meeting so you're more prepared to ask the right questions. And it starts there. But then stage 2 gets into where a company becomes more involved in supplying these solutions. And this is where you really start to see productivity improve because it's integrated into the process. And this is where it's more than just 1 or 2 people, but it's more platforms and systems that are being provided. It could be a smart CRM or scheduling tools or automated outreach tools or different things like that. But typically at this point in stage 2, they're in silos. They might have this tool over there and that tool over there, and they may not be talking to each other all that well, but you're still seeing that improvement in productivity. Now, stage 3 is where you get into AI-powered selling. And this is where I think most companies are trying to get to. This is where I'm continually trying to stay. And this is where I think there's a lot of improvement in productivity, waiting for you. And it's where technology is a full part of the sales team and it actually supports your sales methodology and strategy that you're using. It's not just silos of data or technology everywhere, but it's integrating them all and using them intelligently. And this is where tech can really automate most of the sales activities, but really what I should change that to is the non-sales activities too, right? That no pay time that Cal was just talking about, the time of updating your CRM or taking notes on calls or whatever it might be that you're just spending too much time doing.
Yeah, Jordan, I think one thing I heard you say, and correct me if you didn't say that, is so the hardest part's getting started, right? It's kind of the flywheel effect. We've got to start somewhere. So
Yeah.
I've got 3 or 4 clients and maybe inappropriate, but I said, just go find a note taker and use it. It will automate your note taking and I'll update your CRM immediately. And I don't care if you're all on the same page, because if we wait for our company to choose and standardize on something,
Yeah.
we're going to be that person that you talked about before that's falling behind because they're not using tools.
Yeah.
I'm not an early adopter, but I'm scared to death that we're going to get, our clients are going to get left behind by not beginning to adopt some smart things.
No, I completely agree. And, just to be transparent to, there's people out there who've been in AI for 20 or 30 years that they give these presentations and most of the time they're saying words where I'm like, I don't even understand what that means. I'm just a sales guy at the end of the day. I'm just trying to figure out how do I take this technology to make my life easier. And it started for me in 2018, just putting Google Homes all over my apartment and just turning my lights on and off with them, right? That's where it started. And it made my life a little bit easier here and there. And then I started to use this tool and then that tool. And by the time I knew it, I look back and I see them all integrated and being used in synchrony, which I'll show you here in a second. But there's one more stage. It's not for every company, and I don't want it to freak you out because I don't think a lot of companies are trying to get there, but it's good for like maybe an Amazon or a Walmart or a large corporation that doesn't really do much value selling like most of the people that we work with or that are probably on the call today. But there's still autonomous selling. And it's where technology can completely automate the sales process and salespeople are acting more as strategic overseers of that technology. All right, so think of Amazon. You don't need someone or a sales rep to walk you through the type of batteries you need to buy or soap or whatever it is that you're buying on Amazon. You just need to get what you need and get as quickly as possible. And there's ways that companies can have that set up to be done. So in chat, if you can take a second, where are you? What stage are you in? And we'll take half points if you're at 1.5 or 2.7 or somewhere like that. But, I also want to stay. Most companies that I run into are 1 or 2, maybe even 0.5, really. And I look on LinkedIn all the time and I see 87% of people are using AI today. And I say, there's no way. That's not what I see out in the real world when I do these presentations. And I've talked to thousands of salespeople and sales leaders about this topic. So,
Jordan,
yeah.
can I ask a question?
Please.
Stage 3. Technology is a full part of the sales team and it automates most of the activities. Can you give us an example of that pretty much end to end? Help us to understand what we're actually striving for by paint us a picture.
Yeah, sure. So I'm not going to get into all the things that I'm going to talk about right here today, but I'll talk about some of them. But let's pretend we're using a platform like ZoomInfo or Apollo or some B2B database to find leads that would fit who we should talk to. Well, now there's things like buyer insights or ways to identify the fact that these companies are doing research on your company or competitive companies, and they automatically add them to a new ZoomInfo list. Then from there, let's pretend you automate that list to automatically upload into your HubSpot or whatever CRM that you're using. So now every time that list updates, you get new leads added right to your CRM. Then let's pretend you have some personality tools that can help you understand the personality of the person that may have just entered your CRM, and that is enriching all of the people that are being added to your CRM. And then let's pretend you set up an automated outreach campaign where you can use AI to help you create the messaging or think of the messaging or subject lines or whatever it might be. And they're automatically being sent a string of messages or calls or different things like that. Not saying that's all done by AI. It might be a task is being created for the sales rep to call them on day 3 or something like that. And then you jump on the call and you have your AI note taker take the notes, put those notes in your CRM, and that sales process just became so much shorter, so much more effective, and you got so much more data out of it without having to sit there and take all the notes and take twice the amount of time as you normally would. So, Don, does that give you kind of the better picture of what we're talking about here?
That was excellent and super helpful to me. Thank you.
Good. Cal, you have a comment?
That was a great primer question, Donna. And what you don't know, what I should not reveal to the 150 people that are on this call is you just described, Jordan, a process that we have in our Sandler office and that we've just implemented with 5 other clients, along with some ChatGPT prompts that have helped them find their ideal prospect, define the pain that they have.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of associates in my office, and they will start with a phone call, and then it clicks into an email that we got a little help from, well, obviously Sandler and ChatGPT to do, and it goes through that process. I won't give out numbers, but the numbers of conversations, Jordan, that we have been able to have is easily 4x what we had 2 years ago. Easily. That's conversations. That's not contacts. So
yeah, I can't say I'm surprised to hear that either, because I hear it frequently. So that's exciting. So back to this. What stage are you? And thanks for sharing, everyone. I see a lot of stage 1s, some stage 2s, some 0.005s. I love the honesty, and that's why we're all here today, right? To learn. And I jump on calls like this all the time, and even calls with businesses who have never implemented any form of technology to help figure out where are they at, 'cause it helps me understand better, and I learn something from it every time too. So there's a concept, and I think this concept is one of the best ways to start applying AI. And actually, it's Gartner's #1 use case for using AI in sales. It's called seller role simplification. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's automating activities that are essential to the sales function, but salespeople see as administrative. It's the updating the CRM, the data capture, the adding new contacts to the CRM to prospect, the sending the follow-up email 5 days after you sent the first email, whatever it might be. But these repetitive tasks that we may not really need to be doing or may not need to be taking as much time to do. But in order to get that to that spot, or in order to get to the next stage that you're trying to get to, you need to understand the formula for sales success for your company. And really, there's two buckets. There's the old and the new. And this was shared at HubSpot's Inbound by Yemeni, their CEO. And it's one of my favorite things that I've seen on kind of the shift that's coming. So I share it all the time. But the old sales formula is the formula of more. More reps with more tools, doing more things should drive more sales. Now, we throw more at the wall, more should stick to it. But we're getting reps who are burnt out, they're tired, they're overwhelmed, and they can only complete some of the tasks assigned to them. So is that really what we want? I think a lot of sales leaders are recognizing that this isn't sustainable for their company or for their reps. So what's the new sales formula? What does that look like? And I might be biased, but I think that at Sandler, we've been talking about this for quite some time now. And it talks about creating efficient reps using connected tools and focused on the right activities so that you can actually drive more sales. Not just more, but figuring out with data, what's working, what's not working, what's kind of working, and what do we need to do more of? What do we need to do differently? What do we need to do better? And how does that work in our business? So Cal, do you have any other comments on this sales
No,
success formula?
Yeah, I like how you put that into the new formula. And, of course, we're hugely biased. So but it does fit into the Sandler process because Sandler is all about being efficient, right? Who is our ideal target? What problems do they have that we can fix? And disqualifying, who do we not want to spend time with? Do they have pain? Do they have problems we can solve? Do they have money? Or do we understand their decision process? Which we have to do anyway, which shortens our sales cycle. But by adding these tools in, it probably shortens it by, again, half. And back on your other slide about kind of the 72 or the 80-20 rule-ish, if you add all these in the old sales formula, you're at 79 and 46. You're 180% of capacity. And I'm actually seeing turnover with the really good sales reps because of the burden. And if we can get some of this stuff automated, it's going to be a retention tool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I love that. And that's why on this slide, I put that graphic there every time because I talk about, are we approaching the right side of the problem? Because I see all the time that there's reps or people on typically social media who are trying to fully replace themselves with AI. And it's cool. It's exciting. AI making calls to people and we don't have to do it. And that's great. But there's, in my opinion, so many other things that I could have AI replace and it would do a better job. So I could spend more time building relationships. And I'm not saying that those tools are pointless or that you shouldn't use them. I think you got to be careful, especially today. It's pretty early and some of them are noticeable. Some are really good. So, but I think you got to figure out where is your actual bottleneck, right?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And we've said in Sandler for years, we see a lot of people, they're sitting aggressively there waiting for the phone to ring. Yeah. And the danger about lazy sales reps, they're aggressively monitoring their AI tools, hoping the ideal lead pops into their lap and it just goes like that. But that's not real.
Yep. No, I would agree. I'd agree. So talk us through kind of how this all fits into what we do here in a sales world and environment.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask people to open their chat again. And, this is real stuff. And I will be, again, transparent as well. I suffer from some of these. And we have a risk, as Jordan said earlier, about hiding behind some of our tools. And we talk about that a lot at Sandler. Let's use technology to make us more efficient. We can't afford to hide behind them. And for some reason, we may be uncomfortable doing the outreach, whether it's a phone call, whether it's initiating these emails, whether it's setting off a sequence or creating it. So in the chat, put a number. Now, you can't be anonymous, but oh what? Be gutsy, right? Of these 6, which 4 of these might be causing you to have some outreach or call or outreach reluctance? See how many people take the bait on that one. I can say easily 4 of them affect me for sure. Allergic to the phone isn't one of them. I have a phone. I'm not afraid to use it. Right? We're
One time,
bothering people.
one time I was getting ready to get ready and made an 18-page Excel sheet with all the Sandler tools on how to start prospecting before I started prospecting.
Yes, we call that. Oh, Andy, good for you. All 6, yeah. We call that one rearranging your sock drawer. Well, as
Yeah.
soon as this happens, well, it's 8:30 on Monday. Nobody answers their phone, and then we go. It's summertime. Summertime is slow. Well, now it's going to be the holidays and so there's no month of the year that's good to make a phone call or outreach, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Lenora, that's a good one. And this came of a combination of HubSpot and Gartner research that, and I think Rachel talks about some of these things too. I think hers is 12 to 14 touches. I always get her numbers wrong, that it takes in order to get contact and have a conversation with somebody. But these are some interesting statistics. And as we all know, 87% of statistics are made up. But I think they've got some good data in here about prospects and contact and the reluctance. And at the end of the day, I know what happens when I pick up the phone. And by the way, I have an affirmation, Jordan. I think I've shared this with you before. My affirmation is my prospects look forward to and enjoy speaking with me. Because I find that to be true and enormous after I stop getting ready and get ready and take out the garbage and all the other things we get to do more spreadsheets
Yeah.
and
No,
research AI tools.
mine is if they answer the phone, this is going to be probably the most productive conversation that they've had a cold call on today or an unsuspecting call. And I've gotten to hear that from having meetings with someone and someone saying, wow, I learned way more today than I thought I was going to. Right. But going into it with that mindset is so key. So I love that you touched on that.
Yeah. Well, I
And
think
I
we'll get
also
into
joke,
it a little bit, but keep going.
I also joke that 40% of sales professionals say prospecting is the hardest part of their job. The other 60% are lying because I just think that's the way it is, but maybe that's just personal bias again. So
It's just you.
it could be. So AI in a sales process, and I'm going to go through this not too quickly, but I'm going to go through it with some pace so we have some time for some questions at the end. But like Cal mentioned, I've been drinking the Sandler Kool-Aid for a long time, and it's pretty good Kool-Aid, so I keep drinking it. But I went through my first boot camp at 16, which you might think was like 2 or 3 years ago. It was actually 13, which is terrifying to say. But I've been in the network and in the Sandler world for a little while now. And then over the last 2 years, I joined another Sandler trainer over in the UK, Jeremy Thompson, to create a company called Sales Lift. And that's where we take the Sandler methodology and tactics and put it right into HubSpot or right into these tools that I'll talk about here in a second. So in order to move to the next stage, though, there's 4 questions I ask any company that's about to implement AI. And I like asking these questions as a Sandler trainer because they come to me and they say, Jordan, again, this is so exciting, but where do I even start? What do I do? And the question I ask first is, what is your sales process? Do you have one? If you put 10 reps in 10 different rooms and you asked each one of them what their sales process was, how many answers would you get? Is it 10 or is it 12? Because those two use 2 different ones depending on the week, right? So what is your sales process? And then if you really know it, can you write it down? Even just the stages like I have on the screen there. Do you know where you're going next after each section or stage that you get through? Then from there, you want to figure out how manual is it? Is it 100% manual? Is it 50% manual? Maybe this section is manual. Maybe it's all manual, and that's okay. But you need to ask this question so that you can identify where the bottlenecks are in the sales process, because that's where you're going to get a return on using AI tools. It's finding the areas where all the time is being spent on something that it may not need to be spent on. So Cal, how does this fit in your eyes into kind of the Sandler methodology?
Does, and I love the question you asked if you have 10 sales reps, because I physically ask that. If I'm talking to a team that's a prospect team, or if they're a new client, I literally do that exercise. I've been doing it for years. And it is 10, by the way.
Yeah.
It's 10 different processes. And then we do it in a group. So a lot of our training programs have multiple organizations, salespeople from different organizations, and they do the same thing. And then we realize when we really break it down, they have the same sales process. and Jordan, I'm sure you do, and Don has been a Sandler cheerleader and great representative for years. What I also find is the Sandler process, I'm not going to go through all of it. If I've got 15 different companies in the room, it applies to every single one of those companies. And what's cool now, Jordan, is they're starting to put some of these questions. They're putting their 30-second conversation starter, pain-based conversation starter in their CRM. The sales manager has evidence of them going through an upfront contract, taking control. They ask questions in the CRM in order to take it to the next stage. I think you've got some examples coming up. What pain did you uncover? What's the impact of that pain? What are the reasons for it? What are some examples?
Yep.
When you had the investment conversation, what did that sound like? So to really annoy everybody on the call, you can never send a quote, proposal, or anything without having a money conversation before you send it. And number two, you shouldn't send it until you know all about the decision-making process.
Yeah.
So
No,
this is
I
a
love.
process that we've been able, obviously, we've been training for 50 years, but we've been able to put this very easily and succinctly in CRMs and been able to automate some of this stuff. So it works very nice.
Yeah, no, I love that. And it's funny you said, because earlier we were doing a sales development series session with some of our clients, and one of the ones that jumped on is a golf coach. He coaches or trains golf, or he's actually been a coach of Bryson DeChambeau. So after Bryson, I think it was the US Open, he won, gave him a call, and he goes, thanks for all the help. This guy went through Sandler to learn how to sell because he just knows golf and he knows a lot about golf and he's really good at it. But he said the year he went through Sandler, he sold more packages and had people on the driving range throwing credit cards at him to sign up for his program because he understood their problems and knew how to have that money conversation. So
great example.
Some of these tools here, what do they look like? Well, I teased this earlier, so of course I'm going to have to show you. What if you could use AI to save 100 years or 100 hours in your sales process or just in your life in 1 year? Well, we've all seen these AI note takers, and there's Fathom, Otter, Fireflies. Everyone has one. Teams, Zoom has their own now. The question is, right, which one is the right for you? And that's a question you have to answer. But I'm going to show you two that I really like. One of them is Sybil, Sybill. So I'll show you right here. That's how it's spelled. It gives you the outcome. It gives you the next steps. It gives you the conversation starters, and the next steps are spot on. Something to keep in mind is you get what you pay for, especially with AI. Good AI is not necessarily cheap, right? So some of these free tools, if they're free, they're probably using your data to train the model. So you have to be very aware of that, what you say in some of these calls, something good to keep in mind. But what I like about Sybil is that it doesn't train the model, so I can have those confidential conversations. But also, if you look on the bottom left there, you can see dots on that timeline. And those dots are actual nods and smiles from the participants, right? So I can be doing a demo of HubSpot, which I do often, to a decision-making team of 5 people. And I'm in the tool showing it off. I don't see all the nonverbal cues that are going on, but this tool does, and it catches them all. And for me, that's a great way to use AI to figure out, what do my buyers really care about? So that's cool, but there's another AI tool that is very similar, and it's a tool called Attention. And this is actually one of my favorite AI tools for sales calls, because at Sales Lift, we've helped build it around the Sandler process and partnered with Attention to do just that. So you might recognize on that CRM tab, there's a few fields there: surface pains, reasons for the pain. And if you keep scrolling down, it'll say impact of the pain. Is there an investment conversation? Was there a decision-making process conversation? All the things that Cal just talked about that we talk about in Sandler. And what it's doing is it's dissecting from the transcript all the surface pains, all the reasons, right from that call, so that you have them all very quickly. And what you'll notice is you can click that select opportunity button there in the middle, and it's hooked up to my HubSpot. So I have those same fields in HubSpot, which I'll show you in a second, and it automatically updates my CRM after the call. I might go in and tweak a few things, and you can see I can change some of the wording in there in case it got something a little bit wrong or didn't understand a portion of it. But that's where AI and humans will work very well together to update a CRM in a third of the time, half the time, whatever it might be. And another way, go ahead.
Beyond the drudgery of updating the CRM, it is such, and we've got a ton of clients, or a third of our clients it is such an amazing coaching tool now.
Mm-hmm.
But I really asked that question. Well, it doesn't really look like you got impact. Did you ask enough questions, or did you move to solution too fast? So it's
Mm-hmm.
just a tremendous coaching call.
Yeah. And I use it to self-coach myself. Like you just said, in the pained section, and we've built, again, all these around Sandler and the process that we go through, it told me, hey, I should have probed deeper. When discussing CRM messiness, I could have asked specific impact on sales efficiency. So didn't do a great job there. And it catches things like I argue the decision-making process. I was like, I got more than a one. Kind of know what I'm doing here, I think, right? And when I talked through it, I didn't ask enough questions. They told me, I'm going to make the decision. I'm going to talk to the CFO. And I said, all right, sounds good. I'll let you know how much it costs, right? But I didn't actually have that decision-making process conversation. Understand, are you going to talk to anyone else? Are there any other managers that need to be involved? There, et cetera, et cetera. And it helped me realize that without me having to, just breeze right by it. And then
Now you can pick up
insights.
the phone and call them back and ask.
Yeah, exactly. I covered it the next time. And then the insights tab. And again, not to spend too much time here, but you can use AI to ask the call transcript any question. What are the risks? What's a short summary? What should I ask on the next call based on the conversation of this call, right? So many different ways that you can use that. So doing the math, I had 265 meetings, 264 meetings in 2023 before it took 30 minutes to take notes, summarize, update the CRM, follow up, all that. And today it takes me less than 5. So you're talking about 25 minutes saved over 264 meetings, which comes out to exactly 110 hours. And that was before I learned about attention. That was just using Sybil and Fathom. And then once I started using attention, it's probably gotten even more efficient. So together I'll use HubSpot and attention to help record these meetings. And guess what? It has an app too. So you can use it in person. Every time I talk about these tools, someone says, wait, all my meetings are in person. There's an app. So just keep moving because I want to have some time for questions. Cal, can you just kind of talk through the Sandler AI role play quickly here?
Yeah, but at first I have to ask you, is your golf game must be getting better with that 110 hours.
It's not getting worse. It's not getting worse, but still need a little more time for that one.
So this is something, it's actually a Sandler tool. And I saw it demonstrated and it blew my mind. So it's an actual AI tool, and you can, Sandler trained people can have a conversation with them, and he or she will ask questions back and challenge you on some things. So it's not quite ripe for implementation, but like 2 or 3 clients that are, by the way, and sales managers, they're generally not great coaches. So this is going to be very helpful to coach the coaches to be better coaches, but also to take away some of the, right? And the sales manager, that's the worst job in the world, most difficult job. But this AI role play tool is going to absolutely put a whole lot more time back in their calendars to play golf or whatever they do.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. It's exciting. I'm excited for it to release. So let's talk about when it gets in the CRM. And again, we'll get through this so we can get through some of your questions, but right within HubSpot now, something you couldn't do last year that you can do today is record, analyze, transcribe, and use AI to summarize your phone call. So I can see what's the talk time between me and the other person, what's the AI summary of that 25-minute call. Then if I want to go and search through it, I can go over to the transcript and just type in HubSpot or Sandler and jump right to that point in that call. So my call reviews now take a couple of minutes instead of 24 minutes and 6 seconds. That's a time saving. But one of the most important things that we do inside of a CRM is we manage our deals and opportunities. So at Sandler, again, we just talked about this. When we move a deal from new opportunity or discovery meeting to qualified, there's a couple questions that we want to answer, right? Those are the same questions, hint, hint, in attention. And all of those answers are straight from attention, right? So let's dive in a little bit more into if we open this deal up. You'll see a couple of different things here. You'll see an AI generated deal score. You'll see a stage tracker, and then you'll see deal information down at the bottom there. And you'll also see on the left-hand side, there's a Sandler score telling me how many of those questions did I answer. Or on the right-hand side, I can use a pre-call planner and a playbook and figure out, am I prepped for this call? Or I can, again, see where is the deal score? Is it going up? Is it going down? Am I not talking to them enough? What needs to change? And then let's look a little bit more at that deal information. So you scroll down a little bit. Here's all that information straight from Attention AI. I didn't put any of those notes in. I just clicked update and it was updated. So that's a few of the different ways that we're using AI in a sales process. But Cal, can you talk through kind of the attitude that you should have on some of these things?
Yeah, I'm going to take 1 minute on this and then let's open it up to some questions because I know there are some. I saw a few. So this, for many of you who know, this is the Sandler success triangle. Most people I have found, and Jordan, I'm sure you've seen the same thing, they think about, quote, sales training as about technique and slick stuff that you do.
Yep.
And it's not. It starts, and then they're surprised that we come in and start working on their heads and their belief systems. Right? We all saw the six contact or call hesitancies or things that hold us back from making calls. What's my belief? What's the mindset? Do I believe that these tools can help me and not be an excuse for me not to do the work? Are they not going to replace me, but be my teammate and make me more efficient? And then I have to do some certain behaviors. There are sales behaviors. That's what gets in our way. I think whatever the small number that we only have to do prospecting behaviors. If we don't do prospecting behaviors, we're not going to need AI tools for anything. So we're not going to have a business.
No.
And of course, there's a lot of technique within Sandler as well. So
yeah.
I'd like to kick it maybe back to Donna, unless you want to wrap up a little bit.
No, I think the rest of these are just kind of general. So go ahead, Don. I'd love to answer a couple questions.
Okay. So we only have a couple of minutes. So because I am that person, attention, holy moly. That's like my mind, my head was about to pop off my shoulders. Can you give us ballpark what the investment is in attention that will ultimately potentially save us 100 hours a year?
Yep. $200 per person per month.
Awesome.
Seems steep.
Awesome.
But if you think about the time.
Yeah, no, and I do. I mean, I use Copilot, which is, $30 a month, which is great, but it doesn't, this is a completely different product. Okay. Kelly, I know we have a question. Let's do the live question first. If you want to ask Jordan and Cal that question.
Sure. And thank you guys so much. It's just very enlightening. As someone who also does sales, there's just so much potential just to make my day easier. So thank you. The question we have is, when calling customer service, you usually will get a message sometimes stating that this call may be recorded. So are there laws for using AI? And could you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So out of the 50 states, I believe 44 of them are what's called single party consent, meaning if you record a phone call, you're the only one that has to know. So where I'm in North Carolina, I can make a phone call and record it, and I don't have to tell the other person that I'm recording it if I'm calling out. If they're calling in, they have to be warned that this call is being recorded for quality assurance purposes. There are 6 states where if you're recording the call, you have to let them know. Inside of HubSpot, it does it automatically, and it will tell you if you're in that state, you can't do this. But it would be good to check it out, because I know like Florida is one where you have to let them know you're recording. And there's a couple others. So yes, great question.
That is good. And Fathom, for example, I use Fathom a lot as one of the tools. It will pop up there that says, realize this is being recorded. And I think I've got over 50 sales calls. Not one single person has questioned that or said, I'm uncomfortable.
Just to drive that home a little bit further, I did the same thing. I had an AI note taker on calls that I was doing with Medtronic on something that was a little bit confidential, and they loved that I had it in there, because there was 8 people across 8 different time zones, and not everyone could make it. So instead of watching an hour-long recording, I'd send them a snippet summary, and they could just jump around, and it was a game changer for them.
Oh, that's great to know. Yeah, especially with all the different laws there. Donna, do you want to close it out? We might have time for one more, but
Sure.
you let me know.
We had one question that I think is really aligned with what we were just talking about, the legality of recording. And I know for me, I've been using Copilot to record all my consulting sessions. I mean, I still take notes because that's part of my process, but it allows me to send those key points and action items to my client with more verbose than I would typically send them. And I do tell them I'm recording, only because I think it's a courtesy. But one of the questions we had from, I think the name is Lane Loop, is and this was in a pre-registration, do today's buyers care about service from a salesperson, and why? I think that one of the things we all fear is that with all this automation, just to me, it's similar to every time I do my self-checkout at the supermarket, I resent it, but I still do it. So how do you see all of this in that vein?
Yeah, great question. And I get something similar to that all the time. And I think again, just to drive it home, it's using this technology to give us more time to spend face to face with our buyers and our contacts or whoever that is. I'm trying to be in front of them more often, not less often. So it's attacking the right side of that pie that you saw earlier, and trying to figure out the best way to do that, because it's not always easy.
Yeah, a lot of our clients have that exact talk track. We're using some automation, we're using some tools, and customer A, this is why I'm doing it, so I can spend more time with you, and they love that. And they're selling more internally. They're able to expand their accounts because now they have a little bit more time to spend with them.
Right.
Yeah.
And, we need to close, but mathematically, if you can improve your conversion rate, it will have the greatest impact on your bottom line. So if through AI, you can be in front of the right people with the right message, clearly that's going to improve your conversion rate in less time. So
yeah. And if I can just take 15 seconds just to close it out, and I know we're over, so I apologize for that, but a very important piece is you can add AI or automation to any sales process, but if it's not an effective sales process, you just get poor results faster. So shameless Sandler plug, you got to make sure your sales process and sales methodology is dialed in and then automate it. But
agree. Agree. Thank you both so very much. This is a topic that we're all super interested in. We all need to start working with it. I think that the more we talk about it, the more it dispels the fear that I think some people have. So thank you both very much. How does our audience, Cal, we know our audience knows how to reach you. Jordan, if they want to reach you, how do they reach you?
Find me on LinkedIn. That's your best bet. And then Cal has all of my information too. So if you want to learn more about how we might be able to help you, if you're looking for help in these areas, he can help you connect with me.
Awesome.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely. My contact is there. It's a couple quick AI lines that will answer a couple questions. If it's a Jordan question and interested in him, I'll forward you on there and so on. So good question, Donna, as always.
Great. And all of the slides and contact info will be included in the follow-up email that comes from Paradigm Marketing so that you don't get inundated from emails from us. We all consolidate. So thank you, Cal. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Kelly. Everyone, enjoy the rest of your summer, and we will encourage you and look forward to seeing you at the September Business Growth Roundtable, where we'll talk about leadership on September 10th. Register now to attend. Thank you all so much. Have a great day.